Have you ever noticed, the moment you stop chasing, they suddenly appear, not gentle, not kind, but testing you? Curious, it's almost as if your calmness became a mirror they can't ignore. They want to see if you still bend, if you still beg, if you still react, because once you stop giving your energy freely, they realize something they never admitted. They don't control you anymore. You might feel it in small ways, a delayed reply, a question laced with judgment, a sudden need to check if you care. Thoughtful, this is their subtle test, a shadow rising from insecurity. They are gauging the strength they once took for granted. And here's the truth, this test is not about you. It's about the reflection of their own fears, projected onto your steadiness. When you remain unshaken, calm, and unconcerned with their manipulation, you are no longer a participant in their game. You are an observer of the truths they reveal about themselves. Welcome to the Jung Code, where we explore the hidden patterns of human behavior. Today, we're diving into why someone might test you once they realize you no longer chase. If you're ready to uncover these truths, make sure to like this video and subscribe to stay connected. When you stop chasing someone, something subtle but profound shifts in the dynamic between you and them. Suddenly, they notice that you are no longer constantly seeking their attention or approval. That absence of pursuit is not empty. It carries weight. It signals that you are no longer driven by the need to be validated, that your sense of self is independent and complete. And that realization can be disorienting for them. People are wired to respond to patterns, and when the pattern they expect, your pursuit, is broken, it creates a kind of tension. It's almost like a silent challenge. They test you not because you did anything wrong, but because your calmness unsettles them. When you're no longer bending or chasing, your energy becomes scarce and valuable, and they feel compelled to see whether it will return or if it is truly steady. This shift in perceived power is not about domination or control in a superficial sense. It's about presence. When you stop chasing, you demonstrate an inner boundary, a quiet strength that doesn't rely on external validation. It forces them to confront the reality that you are not available to be influenced or swayed by their games or expectations. You are no longer giving freely what you once gave easily, and that scarcity itself communicates value. What's remarkable is how this changes the way they interact. Small tests, subtle comments, or delayed responses are ways they measure the new space you occupy. It's as if your stillness becomes a mirror, reflecting not only your self-sufficiency, but also the insecurity or assumptions they held when you were chasing. The moment you cease pursuit, you are no longer participating in their familiar game. Instead, you are demonstrating power in its most understated and human form, the power of self-possession and quiet confidence. When someone realizes you've stopped chasing them, they often begin to test you. These tests aren't always obvious, and they rarely announce themselves. They come in small, almost imperceptible ways, questions, pauses, subtle challenges, all designed to see if the boundaries you've set will hold. It's as if they want to know if your calm and independence are real or just a temporary mask. Testing is a natural response when someone senses that they no longer hold the influence they once did. It's not necessarily malicious, though it can feel manipulative. Often, it's a way for them to gauge whether they still matter in the space you occupy. They might provoke you, pull away, or act unpredictably, all to see if you will respond the way you once did. It's their way of measuring the strength of your change. What's important to understand is that these tests reveal more about them than they do about you. When someone tests you, it's often because they are uncomfortable with the shift in dynamics. They are confronting the reality that your energy is no longer available to be controlled or chased. And that can be unsettling. Their actions are a reflection of their insecurities, their need for reassurance, or even a desire to regain the sense of control they once had. Your response to these tests becomes the defining moment. If you react impulsively or try to prove yourself, the dynamic shifts back in their favor. But when you remain steady, observing without reacting, you demonstrate that your boundaries are real. You show that your self-respect isn't negotiable. This is not about proving a point or winning a game. It's about maintaining your own sense of integrity. By staying grounded, you let the other person's true nature show, and in the process, you reinforce your own power without saying a word. When someone begins to test you after realizing you no longer chase them, it often reveals the difference between genuine connection and manipulation. Their actions are a window into their true intentions, whether they are reaching out because they care or because they want to control the situation. At first, it can be confusing. Why are they acting this way now? Why do these small tests appear after a period of calm? The truth is that these behaviors often expose what was never fully visible before. Authenticity becomes a kind of litmus test. When a person's intentions are sincere, their interactions will feel consistent, even if they are testing boundaries in subtle ways. There is respect beneath the challenge, a willingness to engage without trying to force a reaction. But when manipulation is at play, tests are designed to provoke, unsettle, or coerce you into responding in a predictable way. They seek to confirm whether your independence can be undermined, whether your calm can be broken, or whether your attention can be redirected toward them. Recognizing the difference between authenticity and manipulation is crucial. It allows you to approach these interactions with clarity instead of emotional reactivity. You begin to see that the test isn't about your value, it's about their need for control or validation. When you maintain your composure, respond thoughtfully, and do not bend to pressure, you allow the truth to surface. Their motives become clear, not through confrontation, but through observation. This is an opportunity to practice discernment and presence. You learn to separate your energy from their projections. You realize that their tests are not judgments of your worth, but mirrors reflecting what they carry inside. By responding with steadiness and authenticity, you uphold your own integrity and reveal the true nature of the connection, or the lack of it, without ever having to force clarity or explain yourself. When someone tests you after realizing you no longer chase them, your ability to remain grounded becomes the most important tool you have. Emotional self-mastery isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending nothing affects you. It's about understanding your emotions, recognizing why you feel them, and choosing how to respond. It's the difference between reacting impulsively and responding thoughtfully. Many people are quick to fall into old patterns, to give attention or energy out of habit, or even out of fear of losing someone. But when you have cultivated emotional self-mastery, those impulses lose their grip. You are able to observe the situation without being swept away by it. Their tests, whether subtle manipulations, provocations, or silent withdrawals, no longer dictate your mood or behavior. You remain steady, anchored in your own sense of worth, rather than allowing their actions to pull you into anxiety, doubt, or neediness. This doesn't mean you ignore what's happening. Emotional self-mastery involves seeing clearly, understanding the dynamics at play, and deciding how much energy you are willing to invest. It allows you to respond from a place of clarity rather than compulsion. You recognize the tests for what they are, opportunities to maintain your own balance and integrity. The beauty of this approach is that it communicates your strength without confrontation. It demonstrates that your value is inherent and not dependent on someone else's validation. The person testing you may expect reactions, excuses, or efforts to prove yourself, but you give none of those. Instead, you project calm, consistency, and a quiet confidence that speaks louder than any words or gestures. In this space, you are not only protecting yourself, but also modeling what healthy boundaries and emotional maturity look like, showing that real power lies in inner stability rather than external pursuit. When someone realizes you've stopped chasing them, their tests often reveal more about their own insecurities than about you. What they project onto you, the doubts, fears, or need for reassurance, is usually a reflection of what they struggle with internally. Their attempts to provoke or gauge your reaction aren't necessarily about your actions, they are about the gaps they feel within themselves. This projection can appear in many forms. They might question your feelings, act distant, or create subtle situations that pressure you to prove your interest or loyalty. It can feel personal, but in reality, it is a mirror. Their behavior shows the anxieties, unmet needs, or patterns they carry, which they assume everyone else must navigate or respond to. Understanding this shifts the perspective. You begin to see that their test is not a judgment of your worth or commitment. It is a reflection of their inner world. Recognizing projection allows you to respond with clarity rather than defensiveness. You no longer react to the surface behavior alone. You observe the underlying motives. This awareness gives you freedom. You can engage with compassion if appropriate, or maintain distance if the behavior is manipulative. Either way, you are no longer caught in the cycle of chasing, defending, or justifying yourself. This insight also deepens your understanding of human nature. Everyone carries shadows, insecurities, and unresolved emotions. When someone tests you, it is often their shadow emerging, not a measure of your value. By staying grounded and aware, you maintain control over your own energy and emotions. You see the truth behind the actions, and you respond from a place of strength, not reaction. This ability to recognize projection is a quiet form of power, allowing you to navigate relationships with discernment, awareness, and emotional maturity. When someone tests you after realizing you no longer chase them, it can feel uncomfortable, even confrontational. But these moments often carry hidden value. They are an invitation to see things clearly, both about the other person and about yourself. This is what can be called a shadow moment, a point where hidden truths surface. In these moments, the challenges they present, the small manipulations, the tests, the subtle provocations, are not just about them. They reflect the dynamics of your past interactions, the patterns that may have kept you reactive or overly invested. By observing how you respond, you gain insight into your own boundaries, your triggers, and the ways you have allowed others' actions to influence your emotional state. These situations also reveal the other person's character. When they test you, you see how they handle control, insecurity, or discomfort. Their reactions, whether patient, manipulative, or anxious, show you parts of their personality that may have been hidden under familiarity or charm. The tests strip away pretense, making their intentions more visible. The shadow moment is not meant to provoke you into drama or conflict. Instead, it is an opportunity to practice awareness and self-possession. You witness the patterns unfolding without losing your center. You notice when they project their fears onto you, when they push boundaries, or when they are genuinely trying to understand or connect. By approaching these tests with calm observation, you transform what might feel like tension into clarity. You learn to distinguish between what belongs to you and what belongs to them. The situation becomes a mirror, reflecting truths that are often invisible in ordinary interactions. It is in these moments that emotional maturity deepens, and your capacity to navigate human connection with wisdom and steadiness grows stronger. At the heart of all this is a simple truth. When you stop chasing, you step into your own power. You are no longer defined by someone else's approval, attention, or reactions. Their tests, their provocations, their subtle challenges, none of it diminishes your worth. What they reveal is not who you are, but who they are, and how they relate to your presence. By staying calm, grounded, and aware, you protect your energy while seeing the situation clearly. You learn to recognize projection, to notice manipulation, and to understand authenticity. Each test becomes an opportunity to witness human behavior without being pulled into it, to hold your boundaries firmly, and to move with quiet confidence. This is not about winning or proving anything. It is about integrity, presence, and the ability to navigate relationships from a place of clarity rather than compulsion. The more you allow yourself to remain steady, the more you see the truth behind actions and intentions, and the more you honor your own value. Ultimately, stopping the chase is not a withdrawal from connection. It is a step towards self-possession, emotional maturity, and the ability to engage with others without losing yourself. It is the moment when your energy becomes undeniable, your boundaries unshakable, and your presence fully your own. If this insight resonated with you, hit like, subscribe to the Jung Code, and drop the word unshaken in the comments to show you're standing in your own power.